This is Dave Ponte from Audiomack here.
Hey, it's Z from Audiomack, and you're rocking with the Hip Hop Guru.
My name is Alex. This is another episode of the Sit Down on the Hip Hop Guru, and today we have a very special episode with none other than the gentleman of Audiomack. How are you guys doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, too. Thanks, Alex.
So, for the people that don't know, what is Audiomack, and what was the original problem being solved when starting the company?
Audiomack is a streaming and discovery platform. Our mission is to move music forward. We want to give artists all the tools that they need to elevate their careers and become successful in the music industry. We're also an app. We have over 50 million monthly active users, actually 51.4.
Congratulations.
The latest count. And, we want to help people discover new artists, new sounds, hear something new. And that's why I started the app with Z and a couple of our other founders, because I wanted to find new music that came out, right? So I linked up with Dave Mackley, who's our CEO, and he was like, I think I could make this. I think I could make an app where basically we're aggregating all the artists that have dropped music into a daily chart essentially, and I think we could allow these artists to put their music up for free and make money on advertising. So, all these things sort of coalesced together. We brought Z on to help us get these artists to actually do this stuff. And then, 2012, 2013, the website was born. And it's been growing slowly but surely ever since.
So being able to for artists to add their music for free when other companies kind of charge artists for DSPs and stuff like that, what made you guys want to go down that route and say, okay, this is an artist-first platform, and being able to allow artists to have that chance to be able to do that?
Yeah, we recognize, like any business person, we recognize that there was an opportunity that was being underserved or not served at all. At the time, when we came up with the idea, the way that artists put music out was like sending it to blogs, right? Hoping that the blog gatekeeper would anoint them and put them on the app, on their site that day, or sending it to a label or something like that. And you would either send the MP3 or you would send a link, and the link could be to a file sharing service where who knows what you'd be inundated with, viruses or just ads. To be fair, those file sharing apps and sites had to do this to make any sort of money to offset the cost of hosting the files. So, we came from advertising, online and digital advertising. So we knew that we could, make money through the advertising on the website in order to provide the service to artists for free. And then sort of just built it out from there. We knew that if the artists were promoting this place where they could present their music professionally, that they would, tell their fans to come, and we would grow traffic from there.
Absolutely. So from a business standpoint, how does a company like Audiomack make money, in the sense that, you were saying the advertising and stuff like that, for most people, they don't understand that side of the business. How is it for Audiomack as a company to stay afloat in this current economy?
Well, yeah, we're through advertising still, and subscriptions. So now you could subscribe to Audiomack, depending on what country you're in. It's $5.99, $6.99 a month USD, which is pretty competitive. It's actually more affordable than other services, so our subscriptions have been growing, and we also make money through the advertising. So, we hope that it's we add the ads tastefully, right? It's not like banging you over the head with ads. Like, the ads are relevant. They're for products or services that our audience might be interested in. X out of it. That you're getting to listen for free, and the artists are still getting paid. So, that's what you have to deal with. And our advertising partners, they love to reach the audience that uses Audiomack, which is typically younger people, people in cities, people that are looking to, lean forward when they listen to music, not a passive listening experience like some of the other apps where it's like, oh, press play, let me hear a Linus Morissette or whatever you would listen to, right? And advertisers want this audience: young people, hip people, people who are influencers among their friend group. That's who uses Audiomack.
Absolutely. So during the beginning days of Audiomack, you guys had J. Cole's Truly Yours 2 up, and then it crashed the site. How did you guys go about in the office that day, seeing how everything was kind of in a situation of turmoil and coming back from that?
I do want to let Z talk a little bit, but I was in the office this day. J. Cole Jermaine didn't tell us that he was dropping this. He just, like, as any other user, can upload directly for free, like I mentioned, and put your music up. So he didn't, like, tell us this, even though, like, we had a working relationship with him and his team.
Yeah.
I think, like, at that time, artists wanted to break the site. Like, I was like a badge of honor, right? So, like, oh, I took down Dat Piff, or I took down Audiomack, or I took down this or that, like, because so many fans came and broke it, and they couldn't handle all the traffic. So that was the only time our app has gone down, and it was for 30 minutes, and our CTO was on vacation.
Oh, wow.
So it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't on vacation. But that was a big, milestone for us, right, Z?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to add is, I think the foundation of any great business is being able to look at the market, identifying a problem, and then providing a solution. And there was obviously very clearly a need for a platform that allowed independent artists who were not working with a label or a distributor to be able to create an account, upload music, and not have any limitations on the number of songs or the number of listening hours, and allow them to create an audience on the platform where they could direct fans to hear their music, and then also utilize that as a pseudo website, right, where you can provide them with links to other platforms where you have a digital footprint. Because if you're an independent artist, you probably don't have a ton of money, especially at the very beginning stages of your career. And so not having to spend money to buy a domain or host a website or server costs or bandwidth, right? That was really helpful for a great number of artists at the very beginning stages of their career. And it's still very helpful for literally millions of creators on Audiomack today.
Oh, absolutely, because people would never think about, like, the cost of actually creating a song, studio costs, having people around you, and then putting it out there, and then it's a very expensive process to get to, and then releasing the music is a different point, and then having a plan to release the music, and being able to have a place that you could actually go to that you can trust to put it out there is a big thing, because it's not something that you're really given.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of what you just mentioned is everything that goes into creating the song and releasing it, but the real hard work begins once it's actually out into the world.
Absolutely.
Historically, there's always been this huge emphasis on pre-release marketing or the rollout for a song or for an album. And that made sense in an era where you had to get people to go out to a record store to buy the product within that first 7-day period after it was released. But now people don't feel that same sense of urgency. You listen when you have time. And so now a greater emphasis has to be put on a post-release plan once that music is out in the wild. And so if you are overwhelmed with everything that you need to do once that music is available, where we come in is we're providing you with utility. We're providing you with free tools, a creator app that allows you to do everything in one place. And that's one less thing you need to worry about as you're trying to get the world to press play on your music.
Absolutely, because one thing Audiomack does that others don't is that you guys allow artists to have, like, a charity for the art, not a charity, but like a gift program for the artists, for their fans, where they're able to give the certain amount that they want towards their ability to have their career.
Yeah, you're talking about supporters,
Yeah.
which is a feature that we really love, right? Like, there's been like any new feature. There's you run into different roadblocks or obstacles, speed bumps. We are going to be adding something for supporters in the next few months, hopefully sooner than later. I gotta convince Dave to do it faster. He wants to, but we're going to be making supporters much more appealing and a much better feature soon. So I'm glad that you like it. A lot of people do like it, and that's going to be an enhanced feature very soon. So I'm glad that you asked about that.
What difference is going to be added to that?
I can't say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top secret.
It's top secret. Yeah. Well, part of it is like we have to like do these
The
things. So
rollout,
I
yeah,
have
of
to
course.
make sure that we can do it. I don't want to like put the cart before the horse here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cart goes behind the horse.
No, that's cool. So I also like you guys did the Trap Symphony series. So like that's a whole production in itself, because being able to do, like a performance is one thing, but these are like you have the whole stage set up, you have the whole background set up. How is it creating that series, and how is it being able to put like a platform not only with Audiomack but like with the series as well on?
Yeah, I mean, we're extremely proud of the series. Trap Symphony has garnered hundreds of millions of plays on YouTube and all types of platforms on Audiomack. We have we have the Trap Symphony playlist where you can listen to them all. And the idea was created by myself and Dave. We were together, pretty inebriated, and we were like, what if we got Migos to play with an orchestra?
Yeah.
And then we're like, we actually can do this because we know the Migos, and they're very popular in Audiomack. Let's just see if they would do it. And like, there was 300 Entertainment who was managing Migos at the time, and they were like, let's do it. That sounds awesome. So we put it together. It was Takeoff and Quavo. Offset was not available at that time. R.I.P. Takeoff, who was such an incredible artist and rapper and a really nice guy. And we did it, and that was the first one we did. It went viral. We've done 11 total.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a call yesterday to talk about doing another one that we'll do soon, I'm hoping, with a very, very big artist who is going to, a lot of people are going to be interested in this one. So, yeah, I mean, it's so much fun to do. It's a lot of work. The point and the essence of the series is like, and with Migos at the time, if you remember, like, this artist from Canada like jumped on this Migos song. I don't know who and the Versace, and it was like sort of gimmicky. A lot of people were like, oh, who was like this like triplet rap flow was like sort of new that the Migos sort of got known for, and they're really talented though. But it was known as gimmicky. They're like, we're gonna get the best orchestra that we could find, pair them with Migos so that people could see actually how talented they are. And I think we accomplished that. Like, if you watch Takeoff and that, like, I mean, nothing against Quavo, he snaps as well, but like Takeoff just like floats. One take just killed it, and like you can really see how talented some of these guys are when they're with a violin player who trained at Juilliard, right? So hopefully we can continue doing more of those and show people how talented the artists are.
No, that's an incredible thing, because being a music listener and a fan is one thing where you can enjoy it and actually, absorb it from your home or wherever it is. But being in a position like Audiomack, you guys are part of the day-to-day lifestyle, seeing an artist start from where they are and then grow into the point that they're, at the superstardom level, like the Migos respectively. And how is it being in a position where you guys can see that process from where they started to where they are in a large scale?
It's extremely satisfying. We've played an outsized role in the journeys of thousands of artists whose first uploads came directly on Audiomack before they ever worked with any distributor or were signed to any record label. And to see their growth, not just on our platform, but across all platforms, and to know that we played that role is extremely gratifying. And it provides proof of concept in the marketplace to show other artists that, at the very beginning stages of one's career, the most important thing is belief. You're looking for people who believe in you more than any one song or album, but in you and your talent and your ability. And we provide, I think, the best human curation of any DSP in the marketplace. And we give artists the most valuable real estate within our app at the earliest stage of their career. And you're not getting that on any other DSP who primarily devotes that same real estate within their ecosystem to superstars who everyone is already familiar with. There's also been a huge precedent across the industry on personalized recommendations, which is fine and is obviously popular, but services then only recommend what they believe you're already interested in hearing based on what you've been listening to. So it's self-contained, right? You're only getting served up more of the same. And our team does an incredible job, led by Pani, exposing our users to a wider breadth of genres. And it's no coincidence that on Audiomack, some of the most important genres to our user base are genres that have largely been ignored by other services, like Afrobeats and Amapiano and Punjabi and Desi and Soca, these scenes and sounds that are largely being overlooked or ignored. And so we feel great about the work that we do. I know you agree, because it's necessary and someone has to care, and it's us.
Absolutely. And it shows as well. But how does it work on the back end from Audiomack's side for recommendations, and when a user is to try to find new music, how does that work from the side of the business?
Yeah, so we it's not like we have algorithms and recommendation engines. Like, it's important, I can't curate for each one of our 51.4 million users personally. I would love to, but I can't. So, I have curators who are like on the ground in these places, right? So, I have a hip hop specialist, I have soca specialists, I have desi specialists. People in these countries. I have people in Dar es Salaam, I have people in Lagos, I have people in Abuja, I have people in Accra, Birmingham in the UK, London, so there's like, you need to, if you're going to be breaking artists and breaking sounds, like, you can't do that from your computer in Manhattan, right? Like, you need to have people who are actually knowledgeable of these scenes, like, who are passionate about it. So the passion comes out in the curation, because it's almost like competitive. We want to like break artists, and be the first and be able to like tout that, right? Like, that's like a nice bragging right that we get to have. So we have various playlists, right? We want to give people what they want, but we also want to nudge them in directions where we think they would like it, right? Like, Afro sounds, and obviously Afro beats is part of that, like, have become a lot popular in areas where our app is popular, because we have so many people in Nigeria and Ghana, West Africa in general. So we hear these artists who are uploading directly to the platform. So we're taking our best West African artists who are starting to show in numbers, and that our team has told us, hey, they actually have buzz here, like, they're selling out local venues. We put that in the UK trending section, or we put that in the special diaspora playlist that we have, that we're targeting to different areas in Toronto, for example, which I just learned is the most diverse city in the world. I thought it was New York, but it's Toronto. So, like, if you go to our charts, our Ontario charts, you're going to see a lot of Nigerian artists there. You're going to see artists from Ghana. We're helping push just music. So if you're just, Canadian born and bred, and you've been here for a while, or just maybe you just weren't naturally gravitating towards African music, you're gonna come across it on the app, because that's what everyone around you is listening to in the city, right, or in this province. So you might be like, oh, like, actually, like, Say Vibes and Omale, like, who just came out of the song last week. It's a pop song, Afro pop song, and like, everyone should love that, right? It's just a smooth vibe, and so like we trying to get people to break out of their comfort zone a little bit. If you want to listen to what you've already heard and what you like, that's available, but we want to push you towards discovering something new. And the way that the app UX is designed to foster that sort of discovery.
No, it's incredible. That's one of the best things, to be able to have like more than one genre for your listening senses, because one sound gives you a certain direction, but being able to have different genres as well gives you a different perspective completely.
Yeah, like we feel like the other apps like put you in this echo chamber where it's like, oh, you like this, so you'll definitely like more of this, right? Like, and like that's fine, but like if you're a lean forward listener and a young person, like you're not trying to listen to like what your older brother listened to or your mom listens to or whatever. Like you want to discover your own thing, go through your own new experience as a music fan, and like those are people who go to shows, right? Like, and that's what counts. So like, we want to connect the dots, draw the shortest line between the artist and the fan. So that's one of the ways that we do that.
So you guys have had a very, very extensive world of music journey. What do you guys look for when you find a new artist, when you see, okay, this person's going to be good or this person's going to be successful?
I'll go first, and then I know you have an answer there. I think like it's interesting, right? Because sometimes you listen to a new artist and you almost like don't like it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, but it evokes an emotion from you, right? And then the more you're like, actually, like that feeling, I just like misinterpreted that feeling, right? Like I really actually like this, like it made me feel something, right? And you just almost have to like systematically understand that, right? At least for me, that's how it is. So like sometimes like any sort of emotion that is evoked is a sign that you like that artist. Maybe you end up hating it or hating that song, but like you want to feel something ultimately, right? So, whether it's, it's like a tech house song or it's something like that, and it's like, oh, I want to feel this at the gym because it's going to get me pumped up, or whether it's like I'm sad, I need an R&B heartbreak song. We have a lot of those playlists because that's the number one most searched mood on Audiomack is sad, which is maybe says something else about our culture and society, but people want to feel something, right? So like that's ultimately what I look for. I think Z, you might look at it more like, I know like you like a real properly structured song, right? So yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about this in the we'll call it pre-interview. Yeah. When you work in music for as long as I have, this is 24 years now that I've been involved in music in some capacity. It changes your relationship to the music. It's not as pure. And when you listen to a song, you can't just naturally and inherently appreciate it for what it is on the surface. I'm listening to understand, what went into the writing. How is the writing? Does the writing need work? Mm-hmm. Is there a melody? Is it catchy? Is it an earworm? Is it sticky? Am I going to return to it? What does the mix sound like? Should they have used a different engineer? Are the vocals too high? Mm-hmm. And I don't love that that's how my brain functions now. I wish I could just press play and appreciate the work for what it is. Yeah. But I'm too far gone at this point, 24 years in, so there's no reversing time. That's never going to come back, just like my hairline. And so it is what it is. For me, though, and echoing Pani, there's two types of songs, right? Those that entertain and those that impact, okay? And neither are inherently better or worse than the other for me. But at my ripe old age of 41, I'm looking for songs that impact. Life is too short. There's too many options. We all have phones in our pocket that give us on-demand options 24 hours a day. And I value my time greatly. And so I'm looking for artists who tell stories and who impact me. There's a place and time for songs that purely entertain, whether that's like hanging out with my 9-year-old and us having a dance party in the living room, or, driving in the car and needing something to soundtrack, 20 minutes in traffic. There's a time and place for it. But yeah, I look for songs that impact.
You know, it's pretty crazy because when you look at music, especially the ones that are also very popular in today's current market, and you listen to an artist like Dave, for example, or when you listen to his music, it's like you're watching a movie but in audio format, right? So when you have to hear it, you hear a story, and then you hear how it plays out, and you hear the switch in the chapter, and then, you know, this path leads to this path. When there's some music, you know, it's like a summertime tune, and you're gonna hear it and then kind of go to the next one.
You know, artists love to call themselves world builders because it's just an en vogue type of descriptor for the type of music that they make. Unfortunately, most artists aren't actually building worlds. They're storytelling, but there's nothing that exists beyond the music that is an extension of the world, right? A world builder is not just a song maker. It's someone who understands the importance of where the visuals tie in, and the branding, and the typography, and the aesthetic, and the artwork, and the coloring. It's everything together. Dave's a perfect example, and he's having an incredible moment right now. He's got the #1 record in the UK with Thames, which is a credit to almost everything that I just listed in terms of that checklist that he's run through.
Absolutely. And it's also like because music is also like from the heart and soul, right? So there was one artist I was talking to actually after his show, and somebody in the crowd yelled out asking if he could perform a certain song. But he said, I can't perform that song because it brings me back to the point in my life where I was in that state. And to go back and perform that song, it would like reopen an old wound that I can't return to anymore. And I was like, when you think about it, to have a song that deep and that personal is like really kind of, it's tough to perform. You think about it in their shoes. It's like to go back to that state if you're in a terrible part in your life. How do you perform that ever again?
I don't know who the artist is because you didn't say their name, but what that tells me based on that anecdote is this is someone who really truly is in it for the right reasons. Like, they care very deeply.
It was Murs.
Murs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not surprising. And a credit to an artist who has been, you know, he had a very brief foray on Warner Records, but otherwise has been independent for most of his career. And to make it in this business for multiple decades now is a credit to that testament.
No, absolutely. So you guys know you guys know so much about like record labels and contracts, and you're in a position too where artists come up to you and ask you if it's safe to go for this record label deal. What in this current economy of music, what is the right thing for an artist to do, and how should they approach kind of the current landscape of music?
It really depends on the artist, where they're at in their career, what their goals are, how patient they are, what kind of music they make. You know, a lot of artists who are younger, they have less financial responsibility to others, right? They don't have children, they're not married, so time is on their side. They don't have to care for others. Their decision making might be different from someone who is well into their 30s. They've been working a 9-to-5 steadily. They've been pursuing music as a side job or a hustle for years, but they're financially responsible for someone else. So again, it's a case by case. Generally, though, and I want to preface by saying generally, I recommend that artists stay independent for as long as they possibly can for a multitude of reasons. One, there's nothing that a record label or a distributor will be able to do for you that you cannot do for yourself at the very earliest stages of your career. Two, it's so important to build up as much leverage as humanly possible. Leverage meaning you providing them with a resume that indicates that there is activity and demand for your music in the marketplace. People are interested in streaming it. People are buying it. People are going to see you live. People are buying T-shirts, and they're ordering your music in physical formats, direct to consumer. Right? There's proof of concept in the marketplace. So that is my recommendation. Of course, a lot of artists reach a point where they feel like there's a glass ceiling that they need to bust through. Perhaps they've been independent for a number of years. They've found limited success. They have aspirations that don't jive with remaining independent. For instance, they have forever seen themselves with a song at radio. or they want to be an arena touring artist. To get to that level, there's certain deals that you have to make. Just being completely honest about the difficulties that lie ahead. So yeah, to summarize, take stock of where you're at both in your life and what you want out of a career in music, and then let those answers inform your decision making.
So in a world of also venues closing down and artists not having the proper artist development anymore that labels used to offer, what is the new approach that you think people should take when, even like we were saying, releasing music, when people want to put it out and then the next day they want to say, okay, I'm finished promoting this song, and being able to wanting to have this big huge Drake or Kendrick Lamar level without first walking up the steps to be able to get there and stuff like that. What is the approach now in the current state where an artist should say, okay, I should start here and then release this, and then this is the proper route to go for my journey to be a successful one?
Well, I think the first thing that artists need to do today is recognize that it is not possible, due to the climate that we're operating in, to get to the level of a Drake or Kendrick Lamar. Just to use the two examples that you gave, right? These are artists who came of age before the streaming era. And so they rose to prominence during a time when the media landscape was not as fractured and when social media algorithms did not directly influence consumption. It is impossible today for any piece of content, whether it's a song or a documentary or a television show, to reach the zeitgeist. Your audience, your target audience, cannot be everyone anymore. We're in now the niche era, and niche does not mean small, it means specialized. You have to understand who you're marketing to and then focus on that audience in particular. What is the best approach to do that? To create community, to foster relationships with your fans, but to also be part of those communities. A lot of artists don't understand why there isn't more traction around their music, and it's because they largely want to just create it and put it out and not be part of the conversation that's happening around it online.
Mystique, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a time and place for that. We're in Toronto right now, and The Weeknd's Genesis story was all about the unknown. There was a period of time where we didn't know whether or not it was one individual or a group of individuals. Yeah. And during that era, that approach worked. We are now in a time and place where you need to be yourself. You need to be authentic. That is what is going to allow people to gravitate to you. Best case scenario is someone is interested in you, not in your song, not in a viral moment, not in a work, but in you. They're invested in you. And that will allow you to grow your community, because people are not living and dying with every single release. They're riding or dying with you. And they know that by investing in you, both monetarily and from a time perspective, they're going to guarantee themselves more music from you, because that support is going to allow you as an artist to continue to create.
Absolutely. It's literally people want to connect with a person. They want to invest in somebody's career to the point where they want to also see that person in themselves. So when listening to music, you want to hear a song and then say, okay, this I relate to. But when it gets to a certain point when it's not relatable, people are like, okay, what's the point of even supporting? It's the difference between even listening music versus going to the show and actually watching them perform. Because if you're going to support somebody, you're going to go to the show and watch them perform.
That's what you want, right? Because as great as it is to support someone by streaming their music or even buying their music, showing up when they're in your city, buying a ticket to go see them live, and then perhaps also buying merch, that is what allows an artist to go from having a moment or a series of moments into what hopefully is a career.
Yeah. Literally just somebody listening versus an actual fan. 100%. You brought up an interesting point, though. You think even though in this current world where everything is much more accessible, it's less possible for somebody to become a superstar?
Yes, because superstar creation is only possible when you can capture the attention of the masses. Now, I think it's important to caveat that by saying it's still possible to become a superstar within a niche, meaning you are the most important artist to a very large group of people. But it is entirely possible that if you were to walk outside and randomly ask 100 people if they could name one song from that artist, 90% of them might not be able to do that. You know, in a few weeks, Bad Bunny is going to be playing the Super Bowl. And I want to say that, you know, right now, other than Taylor Swift, he's probably the most streamed artist in the world. I would imagine that most of the U.S. consumers who will be tuning in for the Super Bowl couldn't name a single Bad Bunny record.
I love his music. I can't sing along to it, but I'll try my best to get to the rhythm and the words.
So yeah, that is a perfect example of someone who might have name recognition just because, you know, he's also had a foray into acting. He's been on Saturday Night Live. He's been in the news cycle for not performing in the U.S. for good reason. And so there is familiarity with his profile, but not necessarily connection or consumption of the music by that audience. But he's undeniably a superstar. He's a modern day niche superstar, though.
Absolutely. And with him, it's also different because people are listening to his music within genres that they can't even understand, right? So to be able to listen to an artist that you don't understand what they're saying or what the music is even talking about, that's a different level of superstar within an artist, because for all I know, he's saying the craziest stuff in the world. But, you know,
He does say a lot of crazy stuff if you translate it. You're like, that's what he's saying? But, yeah, I think, Z, you're right. Like, it's hard to become this all-encompassing zeitgeist artist, right? Doesn't mean you can't be really famous and have a lot of fans, of course, but you really do have to narrow down who your target audience is, especially for people that are listening and watching this. You know who you're making music for, right? A lot of times you're making music for yourself, of course, but, you know, what type of person are you? What do you stand for? You know, how are you entertained? So that's important to know that.
Absolutely, and especially if you look at an artist's true wealth and like what they've done in their lives, majority of the money comes from the deals they make kind of outside of music.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to monetize your craft. Obviously, streaming is not, you know, going to pay the bills for a lot of artists. You know, it's a maybe supplementary income, but yeah, do deals. Obviously, shows are a big deal. Do merch. You know, work with brands. You know, work with as an influencer, if you just to sum it up in an easy way. But obviously, a lot of brands and companies are gonna want to work with artists and reach their audience. So there's a lot of ways to monetize more than there used to be, and you don't, you know, especially as an independent artist, you get to control how that's done, and, you know, reap the rewards if it works out.
Absolutely. So for the majority of people that don't know the business side of how Audiomack goes, what's been like the toughest part to kind of overcome in the sense that you guys didn't know it would be a roadblock, but allowed you guys to become better and stronger?
We could probably both answer this.
I mean, so there's various stakeholders in the music industry. So, you know, working with labels is a necessary thing to do if you want to be a streaming platform. You know, some are easier to work with than others, and it's a challenge. I mean, you know, they want to, obviously, their business. A lot of them are publicly traded businesses. They have their fiduciary duty to their shareholders to make as much profit as possible at all times. We understand that, you know, as their partner and as someone who pays them, you know, we also want to make money too, right? And so working with them is a challenge, and a lot of times it is a wonderful arrangement and a wonderful deal, and we have a great working relationship with most of them. I think like scaling is difficult, right? Like, you know, we're a big platform in Africa. You know, there's 52 countries in Africa. Each one has their own, you know, own publishing organization. So it's there's a lot. Mechanical royalties is a thing that we talk about a lot, and we pay them a lot of money. So there's so many different stakeholders in each country, right? And just figuring out who to pay and how to pay accurately is a challenge. We have a whole division of our company that's devoted to paying people on time and accurately. So, and even with independent artists, we want to pay independent artists more, but where we make money through advertising, so we're beholden to how the advertising industry is in that particular country where those artists' fans are, right? So the amount of money we make from ads in one country is much different than another country. So, but that's not the only thing we care about. We sometimes want to penetrate a new market for strategic reasons. We think that the music is really good there, or that the artists have a lot of potential, or that there's a big population of people and they don't have a good streaming service. So there's so many different reasons why we would go into a different country, or even just a region of a country. So you do have to work within the industry system to be successful, and it's a challenge, especially as a nimble company like us, right? Like we're a speedboat that speeds around. We're agile. We could cut around and turn and pivot quickly, whereas our competitors are big cruise ships that take an hour just to change direction. So we use that to our advantage, but they're still a big boat, right? And we're a smaller size boat. So we're in the same ocean together, and we have to adapt and hopefully innovate as much as we can to be successful.
So you're saying that you guys are a small boat in the field, but you guys are one of the largest media and music companies that's ever created. Why do you feel like you're a small boat and the other ones are large cruise ships?
Well, so one of our competitors is Apple Music, right? We're not like a direct competitor to them, but if any place where you listen to music is our competitor, right? It could be Sirius XM, it could be terrestrial radio, it could be podcasts, even to some degree are competitors of ours. Apple makes more money on AirPods than every other streaming service does revenue combined. So Apple doesn't really even care about making money on Apple Music. I mean, I'm putting words in their mouth, but I'm sure Tim Cook isn't concerned about Apple Music margins, right? When you sell phones to the entire world and AirPods and iPads, like it's really Apple Music is there to serve the hardware, right? Even Apple, the TV channel, Apple TV Plus is there to serve the devices sales, right?
Now they're competing with Netflix as well.
Yeah. I mean, but they're not like as concerned about making money on that. They want you to, if you ever watch an Apple TV show, like you don't see Android unless it's the villain, right?
No,
everyone else has iPhones, right? And they show the phones a lot in the show, like almost like too much. Anyway, Spotify is a huge, what are they, billions and billions of revenue. We don't make that, right? So we're a small to medium-sized fish in the pond, right? Even SoundCloud or even YouTube is our competitor in some ways. Like we're dealing with Alphabet, right, which is the company that owns Google and YouTube. Like that's why we're a small fish. Even though we're very happy with our stats and we're an independent company, we still are in the same pond as these big behemoth companies.
And just to add to that analogy, we're able to move quickly and try a lot without having to wait months or years, which is typically what you see at these larger organizations where you have, tens or hundreds of stakeholders who have to sign off on something. The larger the organization, the more that stifles ingenuity and creativity, just simply because of internal politics and the typical workflow and operation of the business. Whereas at Audiomack, I think what we do really well is we ideate, we decide what we want to do, and then we push ahead. And that is a unique value prop that is only possible with our structure and our size as a speedboat and not as a cruise ship.
A good example of that is Audiomod, right? So Audiomod is a feature on the Audiomack app where users can modulate, either one, a song on the app, right? So you could speed it up, you could slow it down, you could nightcore it, you could daycore it, you could lo-fi it. We have all types that you could burn it, which is the one we added, where it's like a crunchy sort of sound. So like people like to create the music. They don't want to just only be a listener. They want to create and be part of it, which is kind of what we were talking about before. So most songs on the app, you could just go ahead and speed it up. So it's, I like SZA. I love SZA. A lot of her songs are slower. I'm looking to like run on a treadmill or something. Speed it up. Now you could have a more up-tempo song while you listen to that, or the other way around. Well, let's slow this down. Let's chop and screw it. So
Exactly.
like the Audiomod is a feature that was exactly went through the cycle that Z just described, where it's like, this is a really good idea. Let's jump on this. Let's do a sprint. Let's make this as fast as we can and put it out and like see what people do with it. And if it works really well, we'll continue to invest in this feature. So that's what Audiomack did. We do hundreds of millions of modded streams a year, and it's growing, and it's really fun as well. So like, you don't see that on other platforms, right? And like, Spotify's been, from what I understand, been trying to add this feature for a while, like since we made it like years ago, and they're like trying to like do this, and still like hasn't come out with it. I'm sure they will, and I'm sure it'll be cool, but we've been there doing that for a while, and that's an advantage of being an agile speedboat company.
Absolutely. And speedboats are also beautiful things to have.
Yeah, who wants to go on a cruise anyway? Like, I'm not a cruise guy. You're a cruise guy. I'm not a cruise guy. I want to go and explore my own adventures, and I don't want to be in a big boat with all these other people. I like my own speedboat. I could go to island myself.
You have more creative control with the speedboat.
Exactly.
No, I like that. So what's next for the future of Audiomack?
Yeah, I'll talk, and then you a little bit. We just want to continue to innovate. Come up with things like Audiomod. We have the supporters enhancement, which I'm very excited later on this year, which is going to add a lot of great utility to the app. Just value. We want to add value to our listeners, and add value to our artists and the copyright holders. So the Creator app is great. If you're an artist, you need to have the Creator app. It's free. It's the best app for artists out there. You could upload your music. You could withdraw money directly from the app. You could message all your users. You could get promo assets. You want to add more to support. There's also a lot of deals our Creator offers. There's a lot of discounts on different brands that we work with that are in there, sort of like AAA for artists. So definitely download the Creator app. We're going to be adding more and more to that. We want to keep allowing fans to discover music in new ways. Our content strategy is really good, I should say. We haven't mentioned our content strategy team at all. Our socials is popping. Like, follow us on all our socials. Audiomack Africa, Audiomack Caribbean, Audiomack EDM. We're creating dope content like Trap Symphony, Fine Tuned. We have some new series coming out. So, like, we just want to keep doing dope stuff and, like, providing value to artists. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, we work with over 400 different licensed record labels and distributors, and that's what allows us to have such an incredible breadth and depth of catalog available for our users on the platform. But we also have millions of independent creators who upload directly to our platform, and our content operations and artist services team, who I oversee, we work directly with this community. And I think that that's what really helps us stand out from the field. I think artists are shocked to hear from us so quickly, whether it's to help them claim their account or merge duplicative accounts, two things that happen quite a bit in the DSP landscape, or when we give them their very first playlist cover, that individualized outreach. We want them to know that we are not just a DSP that is hosting their music for stream, but we are invested in their long-term success. And we're going to continue to identify regions and scenes and sounds that are being overlooked or ignored by other platforms simply because there isn't today enough revenue to be generated there. We were very early in Africa, we were early in the Caribbean, and that is what has helped garner the level of trust that exists between both the user and artist communities and Audiomack. And so if it ain't broke, no need to fix it. We're going to continue to do that, and hopefully be a part of millions more artists' story.
So how does an artist get like a editorial cover, or how does it, like on your Instagram you'll select an artist and they'll have like a collaboration post or something like that? How do you guys go about selecting artists for that?
I love getting questions like, how do we get on your social media, or how do we get a playlist ad or a cover? I mean, the God's honest truth is you need to make music that resonates with our editors. There's no secret doorway into these opportunities. Again, I think we have some of the best curation in the business. Our curators are not doing this for vanity. It's not because they want to look cool on LinkedIn or on social media. These are folks who care very, very deeply about their vertical and are embedded in their communities and care deeply about their genre. Best practices, though, generally speaking, you want to make sure that your music's available on the service.
DMing 500 times each day.
Definitely not DMing even once. Have a profile that is fully fleshed out, profile photo, header image, bio, social media links added. Engage with fans, right? So we allow users to leave comments under songs and albums, which creates that active user that we were discussing before. And so if someone's taking the time out of their day, they don't have to leave a comment, but they chose to listen to your music and then follow that up with an action. Log into your account, reply to that comment, be part of the Audiomack community. Our curators, our editors, our content strategists, they take note of the artists who are leaned into the service. One utility that we did not mention is we have an incredible tool called Connect. It is a free messaging tool that allows you to actually reach everyone who follows your account.
That's incredible.
So every other DSP and social media platform, if someone follows your account, there is no guarantee that they will hear from you. Meaning, like, the platform will only show your post or your messaging to a small percentage of the total audience. If you follow an account on Audiomack, you are eligible to receive a Connect message. The only way you wouldn't is if you turned off push notifications for the entirety of your device. And so you'd see that you got a message in the in-app notification center. The point being is that it is a benefit to Audiomack for an artist to be able to reach their entire following, because that is going to foster a deeper connection with that community on our platform. There are artists who use Audiomack who do bigger numbers on their Connect messages in terms of comments than they do on any of their social media.
No, that's super important, because even in the world of marketing, one of the best tools is the email campaigns and direct. It's literally direct to the person. So being able to have that, it's like a broadcast channel, right? So you put something out, you can literally share whatever you've done and put it direct to the people. And it gives a connection, because then it allows them to say, okay, that artist might be coming into town, and they can post it. And then they can...
Yeah, like, right. So let's say you are announcing a tour, and you want to give your Audiomack followers or supporters a pre-sale ticket link, right? So that they can be the first to purchase tickets to see you in their hometown. That would be a fantastic way to do that. Connect is just yet one more tool that we provide with no cost, right? There's no barrier to entry. So as long as you have an active account and you're authenticated, you are eligible to send Connect messages. This is an example of a feature that a lot of people ask other platforms to create and include in their services that we have already created, that is live on our service, and that we implore your viewers to check out.
No, absolutely. And that's literally what can give an artist success, just in the fact that they can actually reach the people that they listen to, especially in a world where, even on Instagram, or TikTok, Twitter, X, not to name anyone specifically, where you're privy to an algorithm, right? Where literally one day could be great where it shows your content to somebody, and then the next day you just might not see it, and it just might go under the rug.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah. Straight up. So what's like the biggest learning lesson you guys have gone through in the music industry that kind of changed your perspective on it?
So many to choose from. Where do I begin? I think it's really important to treat everybody with the utmost respect, whether they are an aspiring music industry executive who is still in school and looking for words of wisdom, or the highest level C-suite team members at some of our biggest partners. The elevator goes both ways in this business, and the people that you see on the way up, you'll also likely see on the way down. And I believe that what has allowed our brand and my personal brand to grow over time is the level of trust that people have in us and in me. I'd like to believe that if you met me 24 years ago or 15 years ago or 3 years ago or today, you would have had the exact same experience. Someone who cares deeply about the work that we do. And I think that is unfortunately a rare commodity in this business.
No, honestly, you can tell a lot about a person about how they treat somebody who's not directly of importance to them as well, because the way you see somebody shouldn't differ based on what you think they have in terms of what they do or where they're from or anything like that. Everybody is a human being at the end of the day, and even when you see success, you can see somebody who's successful and with all this whatever, but you don't see the years that it took to get to that point, and the level of like mental insanity that it took to truly kind of go through those barriers of saying, okay, I am good, and you just can't just base that on somebody who you think, because you never know, one person who might just be wearing hoodies and a sweatshirt or sweatshirt and sweatpants might be the CEO of the biggest company in the world. So you should never base it on that. So it's a beautiful sunny day. We're in the speedboat. What's the first song you guys are playing in that thing?
My favorite current song right now is A$AP Rocky Robbery with Doechii. That is my current favorite song. I think it would sound good in a boat, a fast boat. So my favorite song of 2025. It's very chalk, as they would say in certain circles.
Yeah.
Is Somebody Loves Me with Drake and Party Next Door. That's my favorite song from 2025. I don't know if I would sound great in a boat because it's like a slow, like sappy, whiny song, but I think that is my favorite one of 25. Maybe like when I'm, what is it, Mississauga? Am I saying that
Mississauga.
right? Yeah, we're going to go to Mississauga and play that song so you could understand PND and Toronto music.
I can't wait.
I feel like you very intentionally embedded that answer, given where we're doing this interview and the audience that will likely be watching it. My speedboat record is an oldie but goodie. It's Mark Morrison, Return of the Mac. I feel like that would be great in any setting. Speedboat, cruise ship,
It's on brand, too.
on foot, walking somewhere, put that record on, and 12-year-old me is in a great place.
That's a good one. So
What about you?
that's a great question. What would my
You didn't see this coming.
No,
I'm flipping the script.
Yeah,
I used to do interviews.
Yeah. Very good at. What would be my speedboat record? Are we aggressive, sad? That's a good question.
This is open-ended. You can really go in any direction.
Absolutely. When you're
There's no wrong answers here.
No.
Well, I guess the comment section would be the final
comment
say
section
there.
might have a way of responding. No Friends in the Industry by Drake, I think. We're on a speedboat, so we're going really fast. So if anybody's in the way, you gotta bumper car that boat out of the way.
I'm going to get crushed in the comments because I didn't list a Drake song. I just want to put it out there. Like, no shots. I just love Mark Morrison. I'm sorry.
Mark Morrison's great.
Yeah.
Mark Morrison's great. You know, if we're aggressively riding the waves like on some R&B stuff, we could also be listening to some Weeknd. One from the older album. Forgot the one. Do you like beat switches? You like the beat switches in songs?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Could be good. You know, you can go from one part of the boat ride to the other part. But that's a great question. I'd have to look at my Audiomack playlist to be able to determine the best.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
I will say a great boat playlist is my playlist. It's called Good Times. It's very popular in Audiomack, and it's not because I made it. It just naturally became popular, and it's good times, meaning you're on a boat having a good time with your friends, your family. It's nice out, not like today in Toronto, which is very cloudy and freezing, but you could listen to that playlist and take yourself back to when you were last on a boat. It's all positive, good feeling music, all genres, and that's what I would play on a boat. Is just press play and let that playlist go, and I encourage you to do that next opportunity.
Absolutely.
Can I jump on a soapbox here real quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this man right here, co-founder and our CMO, and he's also a curator. That's how passionate he is about the music, and I think that is so indicative of the culture at Audiomack, right?
Absolutely.
We are not, and this is a really important message to get out there, that we are not a Silicon Valley-based music tech startup that is divorced from the reality of the modern music industry. We employ creators and creatives who many themselves are also artists or producers or DJs, and they understand the plight of the creative. Our head data guy is a recording artist, and our head product guy is also a recording artist, and our former creative director is like a world-renowned DJ. And so we have people who helped create a platform with the creative in mind, because they themselves put themselves in those shoes. And what would I want to see out of a music streaming service? And so, you know, when someone asks what really makes or separates Audiomack from all the other DSPs in the landscape, I really do say this, and I mean it. We care. We care very deeply about the artists, about the music. Because, I mean, find me another CMO who's also moonlighting as one of the best curators in the business. You're not going to find that person.
Absolutely. And that's what also makes people want to connect more, because you will relate to somebody who's actually being in the position of an artist who is trying to make it in the industry.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
There's nothing more frustrating, either as a user or as an artist, to feel like you care and the big bad corporations don't care. And for the most part, they don't care.
Absolutely.
We do.
Yeah. Well, I could talk to you guys for hours, and maybe we'll start a new conversation on Audiomack and Hip Hop Guru called the Audiomack and Hip Hop Guru Conversation. But I know you guys got to run, and appreciate you guys. And thank you so much, everybody. And, you know, it's really good to always drink your water, plant the trees, you know, be a good human being, listen to good music, enjoy the sunny days while you're on the speedboat and not on some snowy path in Toronto during the winter time where you can't even walk and it's tough to even look outside and even walk, and you know, be a good human, be a citizen. Eat your food properly. Don't eat too much junk food. That's not good for you. And really just, you know, enjoy life. Life is too short to not listen to good music on Audiomack. And God bless.
Thank you for having us, Alex.
Thank you guys for coming. Truly honored. And, you know, big fan of both of you. And I've been following you on Twitter for a long time. And being able to give all that information and stuff to people who are in a place where they need to know that stuff is truly rare. So thank you for that.
I will keep going. I promise. You have my word.
Absolutely.
Scott's honor.